we are going to discuss today about the contract in the contract as defined in the Indian Contract Act 1872. So the Indian Contract Act actually it was passed in the year 1872 and it codifies the legal principles that govern contracts. The act basically identifies the ingredients of a legally enforceable valid contract in addition to dealing with certain special type of contractual relationships like indemnity, guarantee, bailment, pledge, quasi contracts, contingent contracts, etc. The Act received its assent on 25th April 1872 and came into force in1st September 1872. It is applicable to the whole of India except Jammu and Kashmir. It creates a just in personam, which means the right against a particular person. Next, we will go to the definition of the definition of contract. So, as per the Indian Contract Act 1872, in section 2 subsection h, it defines contract as an agreement enforceable by law. The contract consists of two essential elements, which is there should be an agreement and it should be enforceable. So an agreement and its enforceability by law are two essential elements which are required for a contract. So the contract becomes an accepted proposal or an agreement which is enforceable by law becomes a contract. So in section 10 of the Act, it is stated that all agreements are contracts if they are made by the free consent of the parties competent to contract for a lawful consideration and with the lawful object and are not expressly declared to be void, which means there should be an agreement which is legal, and the parties should be free. They should have free consent, which means what? There should not be any coercion or compulsion, or the contract should not have been entered into out of compulsion or compelling the other party, or forcing the other party to enter into a contract by illegal means. And also that the parties to the contract should be competent persons, which means what? In the eyes of law, they should be competent persons. Competent persons excludes persons who are insane, persons who are minors, etc. So such persons cannot enter into a legal agreement. So the parties must be competent to contract, and there should be a lawful consideration and a lawful object. A lawful consideration is the medium for which the contract is being entered into, or the exchange, the performance of a contract is being done for something. So what is the consideration? What is being exchanged? In, say for example, a person is performing, is accepting to perform a particular act for a certain remuneration. So here the consideration will be for the person performing. Here the consideration will be the remuneration which he is receiving. For the person who is paying the remuneration, the consideration will be the act which is being performed by the other. So that should be a law. The performance, the act to be performed should be a legal one. That is very important. So lawful consideration and with the lawful object. The object behind the entering of the agreement between the two parties, or the contract entered into between the two parties, should be with an intent for which is legally acceptable. It should not be for any illegal activity or unallowed disallowed activities in the court, in the judicial eyes of law. And it should not have been void. It should not have been void in the sense what? It should not have become unenforceable at any cost. So these are the essentials of a contract, which we will be discussing under the topic essentials of a valid contract. Next, we move on to the types of contracts. There are different types of contracts which we can classify under three basic categories, namely based on validity, based on performance, based on formation. Now, first we will discuss about the different types of contracts based on validity. So, based on validity, contract can be classified into a valid contract, which means it is a valid contract is an agreement that is legally binding and enforceable, and it must qualify all the essentials of a contract. So, what are the essentials of a contract? Just now we saw the persons should be competent to contract parties. Competent parties must be there. Free consent must be there, lawful consent must be there, lawful consideration must be there, lawful object must be there, and it should not be void. So all these criteria are being uh, qualified by a contract, it becomes a valid contract. So what is next? What is meant by a void contract? A void contract is a contract which ceases to be enforceable by law and becomes void when it ceases to be enforceable. Ceases means stops to be enforceable. So when it becomes when it stops to be enforceable. Now let us see with an example. Now say for example, A agrees to pay a sum of money. A agrees to pay B a sum of rupees 10,000 after mm, a sum of rupees 10,000 after 5 years against a loan of rupees 8,000. That means what? A gets 8,000 and agrees to pay 10,000 after 5 years. Now A dies of natural causes in 4 years itself. So at the end of the fifth year only he has promised to pay rupees 10,000, but in the fourth year itself he by the end of the fourth year itself he dies. So the contract is no longer valid and becomes void due to the non enforceability. What happens here? He is not paying. A is not paying the money. 5 years have not been completed, and it because in the end of the fourth year itself, A dies. So in that case, B can he file a case against A? It cannot be filed because A is no longer in existence. So it becomes void due to the non-enforceability. Non-enforceable means it cannot be legally claimed. That we call it as void. So void means it may be a valid contract also, but still because of the non-enforceability, it becomes void. That only you have to understand here. So a void contract means what? It is a contract which ceases to be enforceable by law. So when it sees, so here in this particular example, at the end of the fourth year, it ceases to be enforceable. Till the four years, A is binded to pay the sum of rupees 10,000 as agreed. But due to a sudden death at the end of the fourth year, it automatically becomes unenforceable. It automatically becomes unenforceable. So here it becomes a void contract. Next, we move on to the next one. Next is the voidable contract. So what is meant by a voidable contract? A voidable contract means an agreement which is enforceable by law at the option of one or more parties thereto, but not at the option of the other persons. Which means what? Suppose if a person A agrees to pay a sum of rupees 10,000 to a person B for an antique chair, this contract would be valid. But suppose if A is a minor, okay, sorry, B is a minor, A is agreeing to give him an antique chair, and B is promising to pay rupees, it is not for 10,000, it is 1 lakh. For an antique chair, he agrees to pay rupees 1 lakh. But this contract will be valid. It is a valid contract. But if B is a minor, in that case, what happens? He cannot legally enter into any contract because he is not a judicial person. He is not a competent person to enter into any judicial contracts. So in that case, this becomes a voidable contract at the option of B. But supposing if B becomes a major and wishes to continue with the contract, in that case, it again becomes a valid contract. I hope you understand. So this voidable contract means an agreement which is enforceable by law at the option of one or more parties thereto, but not at the option of other or others. So in this example, we see that it is a valid contract from the point of view of A and voidable contract from the point of view of B. So as and when B becomes, if he becomes a major, he can agree upon the terms and agree to perform the contract. So thus it is voidable at the option of B and not at the option of A. The next type of contract based on validity is illegal contract. An agreement that leads to one or all the parties breaking a law or not conforming to the norms of the society is deemed to be illegal by the court. So anything which is against public policy is termed to be illegal. So in that case, if an agreement leads to one or more parties breaking the law, and in that case it becomes an illegal contract. So for an example, A agrees to sell narcotics to B. Although this contract has all the essentials of a valid contract, it is still illegal. So it is very clear. So because the basic aim is they are agreeing to sell narcotics. So now selling narcotics is against public policy in our Indian constitution. So A agrees to sell narcotics to B. In this contract, even if the contract is performed or even if it is valid in all other grounds, it is still illegal because it is against the public policy and the norms of the society. The next category is unenforceable contract. Unenforceable contracts are rendered unenforceable by law due to some technical issues. Say for example, the contracts, they cannot be enforced against both the parties. Both the parties cannot be enforced against. Say for example, A agrees to sell B 100 kgs of rice for 10,000, but there was a sudden huge flood in the state and all the rice crops were destroyed. Now, this contract is unenforceable and cannot be enforced against either parties. No, A cannot claim that A cannot claim for the amount of rupees 10,000. Neither B cannot claim for the 100 kgs of rice because due to the sudden flood in the state, sudden flood which occurred, the contract cannot be performed. So the non-performance of the contract is due to a technical issue which is beyond the control of human beings. So in that case, we say it is a here also. So we say it is unenforceable contract in this case. Next is the types of contracts based on formation. So based on formation, a contract can be claimed to be an express contract or an implied contract or a quasi contract. Now, express contract means Section 9 of the Act. Act means the Indian Contract Act defines what is meant by the term express. So, express is defined as promises, express and implied, insofar as the proposal or acceptance of any promise is made in words, the promise is said to be express. So, promises can either be express or implied. Express means what? Through express. Express means expressed orally or in writing. That only is called as express. Implied means through actions or through customs and traditions. That only is the actual basic idea behind it. So here, promise promises or acceptance of any promise is if it is made in words, the promise is said to be express. So anything expressed in words, either orally or written, it becomes an express contract. The term of the express contract clearly states either it can be orally or in writing. So the main aspect of express contract is that the terms of the contract are expressed clearly. A person A sends sends a text from his phone to person B proposing to sell his bike for a cost of rupees 10,000. The person B calls the calls him and he confirms. Okay, so here both A and B are agreeing. Persons are agreeing to perform a promise. Okay, perform. What is the promise? The promise is to sell a bike and to buy it for a cost of rupees 10,000. And there is both oral communication as well as a written text is also there. So here the contract becomes an express contract. Implied contracts. The second part of the section that says that in so far as such proposal or acceptance is made otherwise than in words. So this is the second part of the definition which we just now saw under section 9. So if it is made otherwise than in words, the promise is said to be implied. So otherwise than in words means how? By actions or by gestures or by symbols or something like that. If it is being implied that a person is expecting somebody to do this. In that case, it becomes an implied contract. Now, say for example, when you're boarding an auto rickshaw or a car, and the driver starts to drive, and we tell the address where we want him to drop, and he drops us there, and we pay for him. So the consideration is we pay money for 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 his service of taking us to the place or the destination which we have said. So there is a consideration of payment of money and performance of the driving activity by the driver. So it is assumed, it is always assumed, no. So we don't go and we enter into a contract with the driver. We get it in words, or we express that you agree to pay. I agree to pay you this much if you drop me there. It is not necessary. It is understood that if we stop a vehicle, or if we call a vehicle, and we if we call for a vehicle which is on rent, and we will give him the destination, it is understood that on reaching the destination, the bill amount which is shown in the meter has to be paid. It is an implied activity. So because it is through customs, we have assumed and implied such practice. So this is an implied contract between the driver and us. Based on formation, the next category is quasi contract. Quasi contract. So what is a quasi contract? These are not actually contracts. They come into force by a court order. Now, let us go through this. They are not contracts in the sense that no agreements are made between any of the parties. In fact, there is no contract prior to some court order. So for example, a bank mistakenly transfers a large amount of money into your account. Now, there is no written or oral or any sort of agreement between you and the bank, but the money doesn't belong to you. You will have to return the money even if you don't want to. The bank will approach the court, and the court will issue an order to return the money, which is becoming a quasi contract. So here we see that a quasi contract is not agreed upon by the two parties, and comes into existence by a court order. It is thus enforced by the law, which also created it. So I hope you understand. So this here quasi contract means what? It is an contract which comes into existence by a court order. Prior to it, it does not exist between the two parties who are concerned. So in this example, we saw that in mistakenly an account got credited with a huge amount, which is not actually due to that particular account holder. So in that case, the account holder cannot claim that this is in my account, so I will not return it to anybody. He cannot claim like that, because the banker also cannot compel him to do so. So what he can do is, if suppose the account holder is claiming the right over the money, the banker will go to the court, and he will file a case, and the court will scrutinize the issue, and it will issue an order against the account holder to return the money which is not due to him, which is not owned by him. So the order given by the court binds both the parties, the bank and the account holder. The account holder is now bound to return the money to the banker. So here the two parties, banker and the account holder, are bound by a contract which is created by law. In such a case, it becomes a quasi contract created by law and executed by the persons involved, the parties involved. So it becomes a quasi contract. Next, based on formation, another type of contract is the e-contract. What is an e-contract? We will be well aware of all this. E-contract means what? E means electronic. So any contract which is formed by the use of electronic devices and means is called an electronic contract or an e-contract. So what are the electronic devices and means which we can use? It includes emails, text, telephones, digital signatures, etc. They are also e-contract is also called as cyber contract, electronic data interchange contract, or EDI contracts. The terms of the contract are listed by electronic means or implied by the actions of the users. So say for example, in case of how you electronic contract can be it can be through electronic, listed by electronic means or implied by the actions. So if you are confirming a contract over phone, or if you are confirming a contract over email, that means what, we are having some expressed words proclaiming the execution of a contract. In that case, it becomes a it becomes an express contract. It may be implied by the actions of the users. Now, say for example, you go to a website and search for a video, and you click a particular video which is said that it requires payment. It is already stated in the below the video itself that it is a paid video. When you're clicking that button, it is implied that we agree to pay for the video, and then we download the video. The same way, if you're going to an app, say we are searching for different apps, and you see a particular app which you want, and below it is stated clearly that it is a paid app. In that case, when you're clicking the download button, it will ask for payment. It is understood, it is implied that when you click the download button, you are agreeing to pay. And once the payment option has come, it is implied that you will pay the payment, and you can, if you pay the payment, the app will be downloaded or it will be sent to you. I hope it is clear. So it need not always be in writing, or it need not always be expressed in words. It is sometimes understood through implied actions. By the clicking of buttons also, it is still implied. So this is with regard to any contract. Now, the next category is based on performance. So, based on performance, a contract can be classified as an executed contract or an executory contract. So, based on the type of the time of execution, whether it is time or completion of a contract, and so on. So we can say like that. So, based on the time of completion of a contract, you can say it is an executed contract or an executory contract. So executed contract, as the very name states, executed means completed. A contract between two or more parties is said to be executed when the act or forbearance promised in the contract has been performed by one, both, or all the parties. Basically, it means that whatever the contract stipulated has been carried out. So the entire contract has been executed. In that case, you say it is an executed contract. Now, say for example, Alex goes to Alex is a person, goes to a local coffee shop and buys a cup of coffee. Coffee. The barista sells sells her coffee in exchange for the cash payment. So it can be said that this is an executed contract. Both the parties have done their part. What is actually so as per contract, it is a binding contract or an implied contract that when we go to a coffee shop, if we pay the money, we will get a cup of coffee. So here the seller has delivered the coffee, and Alex has made the payment. So both of them have performed their actions. So in this case, this contract becomes an executed contract. What is next is an executory contract. Executory contract. In an executory contract, the consideration is either the promise of a performance or an obligation. Promise of performance means a person promises to do something in a future date, or an obligation. Obligation means a person agrees for an obligation to be performed or to be undertaken in a near future date. In such contracts, the consideration can only be performed sometime in the future. Hence, the name executory contract. So, executory, it is still due. The execution is still under, it is still pending for a particular date. So, we say that it is an executory contract. So, because it is going to be performed only on some time in future. So the promises of consideration simply cannot be performed immediately. The example, now say for example, all the in case of a lease is the best example for an executory contract. All the conditions of a lease cannot be fulfilled immediately. They are performed over time. Say Alex decides in the same way. Supposing if our same old example, Alex decides to tutor some students in physics. A particular he wishes to take tuition for some students in physics, and they pay rupees 2,500 to her at the start of the month, at the beginning of the month itself. So the students have paid the money to Alex at the beginning of the month. but her the contract here, the contract is not fully executed because Alex has not yet carried out her promise. it so it is an executory contract for Alex. Hope you understand. Yes. So here the action or the performance is not fully complete, or the promise has not yet fully been satisfied by one party. In that case, it becomes an executory contract. Based on performance, the next different type is the unilateral contract. The unilateral and bilateral, these two are actually subdivisions of executory contracts. So executory contracts, we said that either one party or both the parties or all the parties have not yet performed the activity, they will be performing in the near future. So in that case, we say it is an executory contract. So the executory contract can be of two types: unilateral contract or bilateral contracts. So these unilateral contracts are one-sided contracts. It usually comes into existence when only one party makes a promise which is open and available to anyone who wishes to or can fulfill the said promise. The contract will only be fulfilled once someone fulfills the promise. So say for example, here the quoted example is again with regard to Alex. Alex, who here he lost his bag in the metro, and he decided to announce a reward of rupees 1,000 to anyone who returns his bag with all the contents. So here the only party to the contract is only Alex. So he only is declaring, or he is willing to enter into a contract with anyone. If someone finds and returns his bag to him as intended, and Alex is obliged, or he has to pay the reward to the person who is returning the bag. So this is an example of a unilateral contract, because the person who has promised to pay to fulfill the promise is who he is the who enters into the contract, who is willing to enter into a contract and makes it open to everybody, is the person, is only one person, Alex. So here it is a unilateral contract now. Okay, what is meant by a bilateral contract? A bilateral contract is one that has two parties. It is a traditional type of contract most commonly known and occurring. Here, both the parties agree to the terms of the contract and thus enter into a contract. Hence, it is called as a reciprocal contract. Why? Because at the time of entering into the contract itself, there are two parties. One party agrees to give something, the other party agrees to pay something in return. So, both of them agree upon agree upon, and they enter into a contract. So there is a bilateral agreement between both the parties. So in bilateral contracts, both parties have usually agreed to a time frame to carry out the said contract. Now, say for example, the contract of sale of a house. The buyer pays a down payment and agrees to pay the balance at a future date, and the seller gives possession of the house to the buyer and agrees to deliver the title against the title of a house to the buyer once the specified amount is being paid, once the specified sale price or the amount has been paid. This is a bilateral agreement because both the persons, the buyer and the seller, they agree upon a particular date on which they will execute the contract. But as of now, it is an executory contract which has not yet been completed. It gets complete or executed once the balance amount is paid by the buyer, and the title to the property has been transferred, or it has been given to the buyer by the seller. In this case, it becomes a when it is being done on the future date, on that date it becomes an executed contract. I hope the difference is clear. In unilateral contracts, a contract is entered by a single person promising to perform a particular activity at a date, at whichever date somebody executes a particular act which is being demanded. Then in the example we saw, Alex promises to pay a certain sum of money to as a reward to anyone who finds his lost bag. So as of now, Alex is the only person who has entered into the contract and who has promised for the performance, and it becomes executed when some person returns his bag, finds his bag and returns it to him, and Alex pays the reward to the particular person. In that case, the contract becomes executed. Until that time, it is an executory contract and also a unilateral contract. So I hope through this presentation, everyone would have been clear with the different types of contracts and the classification of contract on different bases or based validity, performance, and formation. Thank you.